If I ask you right now, who's the greatest waifu of all time, who would you say? Why did I even have to ask? Because I already know what's going to happen. Chaos, arguments. Even if everyone all answered instantly, most of you are just plain old wrong. I bet some of you in the comments right now are already typing our random waifu's name with absolutely zero evidence to show for it. With thousands of anime coming out every year, with millions of waifus to choose from, we still have made zero progress on deciding who's the greatest waifu of all time. But what if I tell you there was a way to calculate it? Instead of our own biases, what if we use data, numbers, unbiased stats to actually calculate who is the greatest waifu of all time? Then surely there will be no room for debate, right? So I did the only logical thing is that I created a 100-point metric system inspired by Jimmy High Roller's analytical videos to answer this one question. Can we find the GOAT of all waifus using numbers alone? This video took a lot of time, so subscribe, like, support more creators like me, and fuck Jack. First and foremost, I'm not very good at maths. I got a D last time I had maths in high school, and that was considered as top 20 of all time. But after painstakingly researching every waifu known to man to the entire existence, analyzing their weapons, armor, and skills for 5 whole days of absolutely gooning with a kill on average every 2.4 minutes. So it's safe to say I took this job very seriously. And since there are so many waifus, I have limited the group down to 75 different characters. 75 characters who I believe have a realistic chance to be crowned as the greatest waifu of all time. You have waifus from old anime, you have waifus from new anime, isekais to shonen, from good and even bad animes. Like I said, I built a 100-point system to measure waifus across multiple categories. And those categories are popularity, awards, legacy, fan engagement, and interest over time. Whoever gets the highest ranking gets the highest point and will be set as an example for the rest of the other waifus. And before we start, just like every Jimmy High Roller video, numbers don't lie, but they also don't tell the full story. So now that you know how it works, let's see the results. For the first category we have is popularity. Now in this category, we're specifically trying to find how popular a character is. After all, to be the greatest, you need to be well known. That's why I broke this category down into 3 different parts. How much the character is favorited, how many people have been exposed to this waifu's respective anime, and how many figurines the waifu has in demand. This metric is far from perfect. After all, we're using my anime list and my figurine collection as official data for this video. The problem with this is that our data will be very platform dependent, and it doesn't show the full scale of how popular the anime or the waifu really is. But since we legally can't find the total amount of people who watch or favorite these characters, using their data sets is the closest thing we have as official stats. Now the first metric for popularity we're gonna take a look at is average MAL favorites, essentially meaning how many users has this waifu as favorited in their MAL accounts. Now for context, MAL only allows 10 favorite characters for each user. The highest character with the most favorites is actually Lelouch from Code Geass with a whopping 180k total favorite score. But since we're looking for waifus and not husbandos or whatever the other term is, again I don't know because I'm not looking for husbandos, I'm looking for waifus. We're gonna be looking for the highest favorite score by any waifu, and we take the highest favorite count and scale it against everyone else, and converting it to a 15-point score system to be added later. For example, Christina from Steins has the highest favorite score amongst all the waifu with 68k total favorite score. So using her as a cap will give her 15 out of 15 favorite points towards popularity, putting her in the lead. So using this kind of metric, we did this for all the other 75 waifus out there, and here's what we got. Again, first place is Christina with a whopping 15 total points, followed up with Mikasa in second place with 12, and Rem with 10, and Megumin with 9. Also keep in mind, like every Jimmy High Roller video, I'm only gonna show 10 characters at a time on the screen, but each waifu will get their scores total up by the end of this video. Now the next metric is anime's exposure. How many people know this anime exists? A waifu can only be popular as the anime anime itself, and vice versa. And in this metric, well-known IPs dominate this category. Anime such as Attack on Titan, One Piece, Demon Slayer, Fullmetal Alchemist are all popular shonen shows with massive audiences, which makes all their waifus on the list stand out as iconic and memorable. Waifus such as Mikasa, Robin, and Nami, Winry Rockville from Fullmetal Alchemist, Nezuko from Demon Slayer all dominate, while newer animes also put up a good fight. Chainsaw Man, only a 4-year-old anime, had 2 waifus finish in the top 20 in anime's exposure. But also keep in mind, they're still so young. I just really don't see them beating the juggernauts when it comes to the greatest waifu of all time. Maybe in the future it'll change, maybe once they get their sequels, but as of right now, they're still too new. That goes from Mao Mao, Frieren, and any other girls who appear in other categories. But there's actually one girl who stands above the rest that finished top 25 in all categories that's only a 4-year-old anime. And with the rate that she's moving right now, she can realistically finish in the top 15 if she plays her cards right. And again, if you know who I'm referring to, please put it down in the comments below. For the last metric for popularity, we're gonna be calculating anime figurines. Talking and opinions are free, but spending money on a waifu figurine to place in your shelves for the sole purposes of collecting, hopefully it's just collecting, you know, I don't want to say, you know, that's, you gotta do your stuff. And then according to the site My Figurine Collection, nobody dominates this category more than Evangelion. Rei and Ahsoka has over 1,000 total figurines across 30 years of its runtime. Follow that up by Saber, Violet Evergarden, and Rem and Nami. Now you can kind of see that this category favors older and more established anime, like, you know, Evangelion released in 1995, Fate released in 2004, but I believe with the rise of anime figurine collection over the years, this category should have really been dominated by newer IPs. Nezuko already has 200 figurines as a 7-year-old anime, and with the rate of Gunnar animes and Gunnar waifus popping out of nowhere, the rise of anime figurines won't really stop as demand increases for these IPs. But again, I'm not a businessman, so I might be wrong. Again, who knows? Being popular is nice, you know, I won't mind it. But eventually, you have to win. In order to be the greatest waifu of all time, you have at least to have had Best Girl of the Year award. After all, if you're not even the best girl of your year, what's the point? How do you expect to win the best waifu of the year across multiple years? And for this stat, we'll be using anime trending awards. Characters like Kaguya from Love is War, who won in 2019, Rem from Re:Zero, who won Best Girl over Emilia in 2016, to our 2 recent winners like Fern in 2024 and Ogoria Cap in 2025. Again, all winners of the Best Girl Award will receive a total of 10 points, and their runner-ups all get 5 points. But this is where we run to our first problem. Anime Trending Awards started in 2014. So from our oldest waifu Bulma in 1986 to 2013, there were no definitive system to prove whether or not they would win Best Girl of that year. So this is where it gets very controversial. We will be picking the most popular and relevant female lead from the biggest anime of that year. So in all intended purposes, I guessed smartly though. These awards are heavily influenced by popularity, engagement, and recency bias. All things I took in when making these educational guesses. For example, in 2009, I guessed that Taiga Aisaka won Best Girl of that year. In 2001, I guessed that Toru Honda won Best Girl of that year. So yes, for all intended purposes, this is where my list gets a little bit stingy. For example, Evangelion was the anime of 1995, so either Rei or Ahsoka would have won Best Girl of that year. And since Ahsoka has more favorites in male than Rei, Ahsoka gets 10 points for winning Best Girl of 1995. So now that you know this, these are the waifus who won from the year 2005 to 2015. You got Cici from Code Geass in 2017, Asuna from Sora Online in 2013, to 2022's Marin Kitagawa and 2023's Kana Arima. But being Best Girl is one thing. The quality of your anime should also represent your waifus. You can't be the greatest waifu of all time in a boring, really bad anime. So to all the waifu that has their anime won Best Anime of the Year award, they get 5 points. And all the runner-ups, they get 3 points. Great waifus such as Violet Evergarden are all from exceptional shows that won Best Anime of that year. Now the next stat is legacy. And this is where it gets very uncomfortable. Remember how I said every character is going to be unbiased? Well, I kinda lied. Because a waifu can have a low popularity score but still have a really high legacy due to a lot of factors. For example, Haruhi didn't dominate her era, yet she changed how anime was marketed and consumed, and that needs to be rewarded. Legacy is as important as all the other categories, and for that, we're gonna cut it down to 3 different criteria: cultural impact, industry impact, and iconic status. So we're basically asking, did this character change anime itself? And in this stat, we get characters who were far in the later half of other categories. Taiga Isaka from Toradora received 20 points for furthering pushing the tsundere trope. Hideki from Monogatari with 20 points for redefining female character development in anime. Waifus like Saber, who defined the knight waifu archetype. Rei and Ahsoka, who both should be credited for paving the way for tsunderes and kuderes we see today. Obviously, newer characters are probably gonna struggle with this stat, but I think as more time goes past, I think characters like Chizuru, Marin Kitagawa, and Makima would obviously climb up this list in the future. Next up is fan engagement. How much do people engage with their respective waifus? And for that, we're using fan art tags from Reddit, Twitter, Pinterest, and obviously Pixiv. And we're gonna total that up to find the average fan art engagement these waifus produce. For example, newer and trendy anime characters like Marin Kitagawa and Makima explode online, but older characters still fight back in this category. Characters like 02, Rem, and Megami still dominate this category, while older characters still go strong due to their relevance over time. What's surprising is that Marin Kitagawa and Makima, despite releasing 2022, has a respective fan art total of 9 points, right next to Nami and Robin. And lastly, our final metric is interest over time. And in this stat, I used a combination of Google Trends for the past 12 months and peak overall to find this category. And in this category, almost all the top waifus received an average score of 15 points. In fact, in this category, over 15 waifus has received an average score of 15. And obviously, this is the top 75 waifus of all time. Of course, their search interest will be in the high numbers. But this stat is only here to separate waifus who peaked in a certain period and waifus who stay relevant for a longer time. For example, 02 was pretty popular in 2019 to 2020, but after a while, she got absolutely buried by the sea of other waifus that release over time. And that's probably a result of a lot of other factors. For example, she only has a 1 anime appearance. If she got multiple seasons like Kaguya or Yokino, maybe it would have turned out differently. But now that we have our categories, it's time to add them up. Remember, each category tells a story. A waifu can be in the top 10 in the popularity category, but if she isn't consistently great on all the other categories, they might not be the best. So after adding all the stats, balancing every category, ranking over all 75 different waifus, there's only really one question: who is the greatest waifu of all time? But before that, let's look at some honorable mention. Mai, Nami, and Robin were all 2 points away from making it from the top 10, all receiving a score of 66 waifu points. One Piece would have definitely dominated this category if it weren't for its low popularity rate in MAL, because both Nami and Robin had a popularity score of 17 out of 40, right behind Megami and Violet Evergarden. Again, my list isn't perfect, but according to the stats from MAL, Nami and Robin's popularity score are really low, and that's accounting for anime's exposure, anime favorites, and figurines. From the very first point I was making this video, I knew new anime would struggle in a lot of these categories. But right behind Nami and Robin is Kaguya Shinomiya, making it all the way to top 15 greatest waifu of all time, with a waifu score of 65, beating 02 from Darling the Franxx and CC from Code Geass. Kaguya from Love is War, the youngest candidate in the top 20, with her anime being only around 7 years old. But again, like I said before, the most recent anime among the top 30 waifus of all time is Marin Kitagawa from Dress Up Darling, making it all the way to 24th place with a score of 59 waifu points. She is an anomaly on this list, because other than her, the newer animes are usually placed around 30 to 40 range. Your Forger, Mao Mao, Chizuru, Kana, Makima are all in the top 30 to 40 range. Maybe in the future they'll go up, but as of right now, this is where they'll stay. But unfortunately, the worst waifu across the 75 with a score of 40 out of 100 is Tanya from Sage of Tanya the Evil, followed by Nino, Chitoge, and Lucy Artfilia, all having 41 out of 100 waifu points. And now a speedrun of all the other waifus on the list. And now the moment you all been waiting for. After all that, after every stat, every category, every argument, all the people who died in the great anime wars, there's only one character left standing. It's time to answer the question, who is the greatest waifu of all time? And the answer is...
This world is cruel, but it's also beautiful. It was a good life.
With a whopping of 86 out of 100 points, Mikasa from Attack on Titan is the greatest waifu of all time. She has the highest popularity score amongst all anime. She got 19 out of 20 for Legacy. She got 15 out of 15 awards for Best Girl and Best Anime of the Year with a fan engagement of 9 out of 10. Mikasa, based on the stats, is the greatest waifu of all time. And now that you know number 1, here are the top 10 waifus of all time. Ahsoka and Rey are number 2 and number 4 respectively, which isn't very surprising. These are the godfather of tsundere and kudere tropes, so of course they were gonna be there. They had the highest figurine score with a 10 out of 10 rating. The closest one behind is Saber and Violet Evergarden with 6. Speaking of Saber, she made it to top 5 in this list. Saber, Ahsoka, and Rey's popularity all spanned multiple generations, and that's what pushes them up high. But there's still one more person who is squeezed between all 3 of them. Rem from Re:Zero, probably the most beloved waifu despite sleeping through an entire season's worth of her anime. But again, she doesn't even need it. Her popularity is elite. Her figurines are crazy. She owns one of the most powerful moments in anime. And for all the rest, I just figured, Christina from Steins Gate, Asuna from Sora Online, Megami from KonoSuba, Violet Evergarden from Violet Evergarden, and Hitage from Monogatari are all very well-known candidates to be the greatest waifu of all time. So that's why seeing the top 10, seeing all the stats I managed to gather up, are the numbers correct? Again, this system isn't perfect, but it's a lot harder to argue with numbers than it is with feelings. But I actually disagree with my list because Chitoge from Nisekoi is ranked 70 out of 75, so maybe I gotta redo it, once I hit 100k. Again, thank you guys for 1k subscribers. Subscribe, like, support smart creators like me. I love you guys. Really want to say back.